Still waiting. Still waiting. Thank you. Still waiting on a handful. You know, someone in your group hasn't paid attention. All right. So, quick couple of details. Actually, first off, man, how do we have so few students?
Huh?
So we have so few students paid no phone. Okay. Okay. Jaden, no phone, sir. Thank you, sir. Caitlin, still none. Maddie, oh yeah, you haven't had one for a minute, have you? Was Barry Lee here yesterday?
Nope.
No, he wasn't here.
He wasn't. Okay. I forgot to mark him in my book. Taylor for. Hey, Joey.
Oh, yeah.
Good and
Thanks, sir. Okay, so really quickly. At this point, y'all, at this point, you should be able to create a perpendicular bisector. However, hey, Ethan, is the point of that compass on one of those endpoints right now? When I looked, it was right here. You gotta be careful and make sure it stays. Okay? Now, quick couple of points. Just drawing it there is good evidence that you understand how to create a perpendicular bisector. But one, what can you do to check to make sure you have a perpendicular bisector?
Use a protractor and put the dot in the middle and.
So you could, one, it should have a midpoint, right? So what should the length on either side of that midpoint be? The same. Could you actually like measure it and check that?
Yes.
Yeah. Could you put that measurement on there to show me, hey, I know I have a perpendicular bisector? I'd probably do that. Karia, what were you saying that you could do with that protractor?
Okay, so you get the protractor and you put it on like your dot, so you can draw your line at, and you can see through it, go to 90.
Okay, because if it's a perpendicular bisector, it should be creating what angle?
A right angle.
90-degree angles. So ladies and gentlemen, don't just create the perpendicular bisector tomorrow. Tell me, right? Show me that, hey, this is a 90-degree angle. Show me that these lengths are the same. And I will point this out. Even if you have not mastered creating that perpendicular bisector right now, could you still talk about, hey, it should have the midpoint here and it should be perpendicular at this point?
Yes, because it shows proof of your understanding.
Say that louder, Karia, because that's critical.
It shows proof of your understanding.
It shows proof of your understanding. Show me what you know. Stop sitting there and putting nothing down. If you know you're creating a perpendicular bisector, show me something that tells me you know something about the perpendicular bisector. Is that clear? Okay. Guys,
Like tomorrow, like for tomorrow.
because you have a test tomorrow, Joey.
Oh crap. Yep, I'm gonna fail that.
Oh.
It's a great attitude to have. I like to go into things assuming I'm going to fail it too. So, we already did this. Here's our agenda. We already talked about bell ringer. A note about vocab really quickly. I meant to mention this yesterday. Have you noticed that there's actually a whole lot of vocab within this book?
Yeah.
If you haven't, go back and look at lessons 2, 3, and 4. So 1 there, but look at lesson 2. Page 1, M1-117. You see where it says key terms? Okay? Construct, compass, straight edge, line, line segment, point, things like that. Hear me very clearly on this, okay? There will be a vocabulary portion of this. If you, what do you mean what? The last 2 tests I've had a key term section where I say, hey, here's like 6 terms, pick 4 of them, and you give me examples and define these things. Okay.
It never said that, I swear.
I probably did that with your don't recall that being out of them. I don't recall that. I promise.
It's a good thing I keep my receipts.
Oh, okay.
That sound like my mom.
Okay, didn't have it on the stats.
Oh,
Whoa, hey, I still have the short answer portion on this stats board. No, that didn't do that.
Explain how we got it. How we did it.
I lied, I had cheated y'all.
Uh-huh.
My bad. So, this is what I'm referring to. I've done it with all my Algebra 2 class exams so far. This is what I mean.
Maybe next time.
Did I do it here?
Next one will be short.
Man, what's gonna be on the test?
Here we go. This is what I do. So, there will be a section like this where it says select 4 terms and clearly define them, providing examples and any extra evidence. So,
This would help my brain.
I still expect a lot on this. So this is something that will be on your test tomorrow. There is a total of 13 different words or sets of words. Joey, I'm not done, dude. Chill. Calm down. There are 13 words or sets of terms on the test. You will have to pick 8 of them, any of the 8, and define them and give examples of what they might look like. Joey, it's stuff like line and ray and line segment. It's things like a perpendicular bisector.
I still don't know what that is.
Well, look at the vocabulary.
Look at the video.
Look, Joey. We just did a person.
It will be from those key terms throughout the lesson. So look, it's the lessons 2, 3, and 4, they have key terms on every single one of the very first pages, and they're throughout the lesson. That's where I pulled the terms from. They're things that you should know. Okay? And again, you don't have to do all 13. There are 8 of them. Is that clear? No, I'm not showing you the words. I'm telling you it's the key terms in the book.
What's gonna be on the test?
Lessons 2 through 4 from what we've been studying.
So where are all the vocab terms?
You gotta go to 2 to 4.
Look at the first page of the lesson. It literally says key terms. And well, that's key terms just for lesson 2. There are key terms for lesson 3. Like, if you look at lesson 4, haven't we been studying distance?
Yes.
The term distance is an important thing, or Pythagorean theorem might be a key term. Okay, so I apologize that I haven't given those to you because I usually do. So, we're going to look at part of the review packet. I'm going to show you a quick reminder from lesson 4 before we discuss the understanding check that I will give back today. We'll go over some details. Hopefully yesterday improved our understanding so that going over the understanding check won't take too long, and then we'll get some more practice. We don't have time to do all of these problems, but this is on that packet that you were just looking at. There are 3 questions there at the bottom where you are trying to write the equation of what kind of lines? Parallel lines. Now, I want to do a quick reminder here. If you're writing the equation of a line, what is the equation that we should all definitely know?
The slope.
Y equals mx plus b.
We should know y equals mx plus b. Does anybody know the issue, though, if I'm trying to do a line through this point?
I don't see it any problem.
Okay, does anybody see a problem? Wow, I'm struggling. Okay, what does b stand for again?
Y.
The y-intercept. Hey, do you have the y-intercept up here? What is it? You sure about that? You sure about that? Hey, y'all. Let's graph this point.
What color is
It's on the floor. I didn't want you to pick it up.
There's the point 1, comma 2. Do I have the y-intercept?
No.
I don't have the y-intercept. Say again, Anaya. Well, you're talking about this 2.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one.
But look, we want something that is parallel to this line. What should we know immediately if it's parallel to that line?
It's translated.
It is a translation, but that means that the slopes are the same. So what is the slope for the line I'm trying to write an equation for?
4, 5.
So 4 divided by 5 or 4/5. It's going to have that same slope, isn't it? Right? And then if I look at here, how can I use that slope and this point to get my y-intercept? So it'd be 1, 2, so I need to rise 4, go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right how far?
5.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now what can I do through those 2 points?
Make a line.
Draw a line. You have rulers to do that, right? And now it would be something close to this. Now I'll tell you this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Unless it's perfectly on one of those grid things, it's okay to estimate. But I would write this equation as 4/5 x. It's got that slope. The y-intercept would be roughly what?
2.
That looks like 2?
1.
I don't know.
3.
Guessing.
Joey, but don't just guess. Look at it. It's just above 1, dude. That's 1. So I might do something like 1.1 or 1.2. Okay? It's just an estimate. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, tomorrow I'm going to give everybody a graph paper. Because it's hard to write the equation of a line when you're not given that y-intercept. So what's going to be the easiest way to do it? Graph it. Use the slope that's given, use the point that's given to graph your line and find your slope and y-intercept. We clear on that? Okay. I want you to practice with numbers 2 and 3. I'm going to pass out some graph paper now. Let's get to work on 2 and 3, actively collaborating within our groups. Is it safe to assume that you're frustrated with the perpendicular bisector stuff right now? No. Did you find your perpendicular bisectors? You have to go until those
Oreo is green with white. I want them green and black. But ain't got no
See this point?
They like divide.
Take a ruler.
I want to like this face. Mostly, I just want
I literally just on that floor, I promise
Hey, are y'all working on numbers 2 and 3? Come on. Here, there's graph paper that make it like easier.
Mr. King.
Okay, I'll be back in just a second.
The line is parallel, the slope is
Sure, but be
the
quick, we got some work to
Okay,
do.
got you.
Yes.
Oh my. You know, I do replicate the line parallel. If your slope is the same. If your line is perpendicular, then it's opposite.
It was just an estimate. First off, was it 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2?
Okay, so,
So 1, 2. And then remember the slope is 4 to the graph. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3,
no, I say when I
4,
finish,
5.
I'm a go. You always know. I want to see the line is going here.
So it's just a little bit above 1. So it's made it be 1.1.
But we don't just draw on the line.
And it's not even on the line.
Definitely not a lot. You see how it's just barely above 1?
It's under the line.
I was just estimating. What's up? You what?
So we're gonna do 3, 1.
How to do what?
And you gotta
Wait,
go
draw your
for 3.
X and Y axis. You don't have to make it huge, just X, and then Y. Okay? I'm gonna graph that given, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. And I want a line that is parallel to y equals negative 5x plus 3, right? What do I know about parallel lines?
And I don't see it.
We ain't even on that.
What else?
Huh?
What else?
What you think? 0. What did I do?
What do you know about the slopes?
Up 3 over 1. I went down 3 over
They have the
1.
same slope. You gotta know that, because if this,
And my
if
slope
I
is
want
0.
parallel to this equation, because notice, I don't already
No,
have
I
this.
didn't
If I
say
want
zero.
to parallel to this equation, I need something with the same slope. That's my slope, y equals mx plus 1. So this, I need, what slope do I need off of here? Negative 5.
I
Which is
just
understood.
say, why doing something?
So rise is down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Like,
To the right
yeah,
is
up 3 over 1.
and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And that's the coordinate.
And you'd have to
It's
extend
3
this
and 1.
y-axis like negative 4. It's gonna be really tall. Should have made that bigger.
See, now you go up 3 over 1. What?
Now, we'll point out, you can find a pattern here to figure this out as well. Notice this would be 3, 1. This will be 2, 6, 1, 11. Any guesses what the y-intercept would be if we keep that pattern going? 1, 6, 11.
I still got it.
What's the pattern? To go from 1 to 6?
I didn't get that.
Add how
I got so different.
6 to 11?
This one.
6 to 11 is adding 5. So then add 5 more, 16 would be the y-intercept. So we just would have had to make that. Alright, keep working. Write the equation. That's all. So, okay, well, so it's 3, 1, but then remember that slope is negative 5. Remember that's understood that divided by 1. So it goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a positive 1, so it's to the right.
You went down.
Right? You can also go in the opposite direction, going up.
Then I went down. You said our x is 3. Yes. You go down 1. It's 3. You got it. Look, x is 3.
Extend this y-axis up to get your y-intercept. Okay?
Give me the, I can actually explain what I'm doing.
Okay, someone's.
1, 2, 3. Wait.
Well, I would actually
Just the way you balance. I'm speaking.
do better. Be like 200. I want to choose.
Why did you go down?
I'm telling you.
Why did you go down? You're supposed to go over. All I did. Remember what I did in the 8th grade. And I did.
What's your favorite?
Oh, that's why I hate it. So. Three. Over one.
Oh, Lily, why are you back in that group? That's not your group. No, get your group.
Up three.
All right.
One.
So
Three. Over.
let's talk just about number 2 right now. All right?
I know this.
Huh? Can you help with number 2?
Where's my paper? What you did?
Okay. So to get started, once again, if I'm trying to write the equation, okay, pause. Pause and listen. What is one thing that everyone should be able to write down immediately on number 2 that gives me some evidence of your understanding? Is that some indication of understanding that, hey, I know the equation of a line is y equals mx plus b?
Yes.
Yes. Show me something that you know. Right? What's something else that we should pull off of here and immediately shows me that you understand something?
You can draw
I mean, you could make a graph. There's something else that y'all are skipping that's critical. What is the point of this question? What should you tell me immediately knowing that we have parallel lines?
the slopes are equal.
So slopes are the same. So what is my slope going to be?
-5 divided by 1.
Well, -5, remember, divided by 1. Right? Rise divided by run. Okay? Isn't that pretty big information that you're telling me you know what parallel lines have in terms of slope? Yes. Show me that information. Now this has been really important to help us get to the next step where, and I will remind you, there is a point slope form of a line if you want to do that equation. It just requires you to memorize more, but I would just graph it. Now we do run into an issue that this one has a really big y-intercept, but there's 3, 1, right? You graphing 3, 1, again, does that give me some evidence of your understanding? Yes. Good. Where did Jaden go? Oh, where did you go move over here? Helping all out? Okay. Now, I have a slope of -5 divided by 1. 2 important things to notice is that means that the rise is going in which direction? Down. So down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 1 is positive, so it's to the right 1. It can go in the opposite direction, meaning it's going to go up how much? Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the left 1. And now what can I do? Now when you have graph paper, you already have all of this marked, but can you find that y-intercept up here to write the equation? That's it. The equation is y equals, the slope is, what again? -5. So I will say once you write the equation, you can just leave it as -5. So please hear me very clearly, the -5 divided by 1 is important for rise and run. But when I write the equation like this, it's just going to be -5. Plus, for anyone who drew it out all the way and identified that y-intercept, what is it? 16? Yeah? Yeah?
How much on the y-intercept?
Say again?
How much on the y-intercept?
We're just going to graph it. And I didn't finish drawing up here, but if you have graph paper, it's going to intersect that y-axis somewhere.
Where intersects the y-axis?
Right. Now, hey, listen. stop and listen. There is a slightly more efficient way if you're willing to work for it. Y'all, pause on these conversations. There is a slightly more efficient way if you're willing to work for it, because what's another mathematical representation that I can create? Representation. There are graphs
And tables.
and tables and equations. I could make a table, couldn't I?
Oh, that's what I mean.
This table has the point 3, 1 on it. What do we know about every y-intercept? The x value is?
0.
So can I work backwards to that point and figure out what the y value is here? Think about it. The slope, -5 divided by 1, that's the change in y divided by the change in x. So if I am adding 1, I'm subtracting by 5. But what if I subtract 1 to go backwards? What am I going to do with the 5?
You're gonna add it.
Does that give me the same y-intercept?
No.
Okay. So, you can make a graph, you can make a table, it's your choice. Parallel lines, the only thing is that we have to make sure we have the same slope. And then I would draw it out to find out what the y-intercept is, or you can make the table, it's your choice. I will come up with the answer for number 3 in a second and write it up there so that you can try it on your own at home. I want us to look at the perpendicular section, which is on the next page. So move to the back. And I know that you may be frustrated, like, oh, Mr. Kinney, you're jumping ahead, but at the end of the day, what's harder, parallel or perpendicular lines? But at the same
both
time,
hard.
they're pretty similar, aren't they? Like, they are. So, let's look at this problem right here. Hey. Shh. So when I look at number 1, what is the equation of a line perpendicular to y equals 2x minus 6 that passes through 5, 4? What is something that you could write here to show me your evidence of understanding? Aren't we looking at y equals mx plus b? Okay. Oh, perpendicular is 90 degrees. Now, is perpendicular meaning 90 degrees going to help us write that equation? No, but what should we know if we want perpendicular lines?
It's gonna be 2x is -1/2 divided by 2.
So the slope needs to be what?
-1/2 divided by 2.
How'd you get -1 divided by 2? Where's that coming from?
Because every whole number is gonna be divided by 1. So then when you flip it, it has to be 1.
So like you're jumping. You're one right. Say it again.
Opposite reciprocal.
That's what I was looking for. Our perpendicular slopes are opposites and reciprocals. That was everything you were saying, Emily. I just wanted you to like literally put it into words. Like I know that if I have a perpendicular slope, it's the opposite and reciprocal. Currently, this is 2 divided by 1. So what's the perpendicular slope? The opposite of a positive 2 is a negative. The reciprocal would be?
-1/2.
Right. See, Joey, you know stuff. Stop getting in your head. You're intelligent. Nuh-uh, don't talk back. I'm telling you. Well, what's the question asking us to do? Write the equation, right? Do I have any of the equation right now?
No.
I mean, so
I got my slope, don't I?
That's slow.
So I got my slope. What do I still need?
The y-intercept?
How am I going to get that y-intercept? I'm going to graph it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5, 4. Now I would use graph paper if I were you, right? So, and the slope of -1/2 means it's going up or down. Down how far?
1
Down 1.
over 2.
We say over to the
Right.
right 2. There's that point. I can go in the opposite direction, meaning I go up 1 and to the left 2. See how that creates the same line? Alright, draw your points, extend that line, find the y-intercept, and write the equation. Continue with numbers 2 and 3. I'll come around and support. I'm going to start on the left-hand side because I was working with the, well, my left, because I was working over here last. So I'm going to start over here. How are we feeling about that? Yeah? Okay.
So, I need to find it.
Okay. No.
She showed though.
Just ain't no joke, we're on this perpendicular side.
Okay, help me, cause. Yeah, I'm
Check in with each other.
Oh, that's mine. But I'm confused on how y'all do different directions. How you on number two already? Oh, what? Oh, never mind.
Wait, what's going on? Wait, you haven't even grabbed any of your books yet. You guys grabbed your stuff. You said you're on this one, right? So you grabbed your five.
I gotta go down.
Right? Five in the ends. Four in the line.
Wait, to the left or to the right?
Right? Now, use your slope. Negative one, so it's going down one. Running to positive two, so to the right two. You can always go to the opposite direction as well, so up and to the left two.
To the left or to the right? Until you get to go intercept. Where's your intercept? Where is my intercept? Where's your graph?
Set it up. So what's that, five?
Go to the
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6.
Left.
Oh, Let me look at your stuff before we start erasing.
So I'm going left.
Get your-
Are you doing that right? That's not right. This is right.
That slope's not right.
Ain't this right? Like, from your point of view, this is
That
right.
slope's a negative.
Yeah, my point of view, this is right.
Down
And this is my
one.
right hand. Okay, so this is left. This is my left.
One to the right.
Okay.
Okay, so what about my left?
Left two.
Okay, okay, so
Slope
the
is very,
first
very off, isn't it?
No.
What is it? What's the
My left is you are two different things. My left or you are my right. Where your intercept on it. I don't.
How'd you get these points?
Wait, I'm trying to ask you.
Right. Cause your intercept. Oh, look. Look, cause your intercept.
But that means you literally went down
Do you
3 to the
see?
right 4.
Wait,
That's
yes.
not like
Yes,
intercept.
do you see the line? Yes. So
Right?
which way
You
you
should
like
have never
to go?
combined it in the first place.
Okay, I didn't know.
Rise down one to the right. Good. So you know why you're so right here.
Wait. Mine look like his. Mine don't. Are you putting your line? How are you going up?
How many more down?
Up one. You go down one. Mama is negative one over positive two.
You just told me.
That's my fault, so I didn't. Now I did. I mean, it looks. I ain't got no numbers on it. I just remember what I know.
Unless I'm confusing my X and my Y.
Oh.
It's cold. It is not even cold. It is cold.
It is really cold, but
It's hot.
but I do want to say,
I need a slope that is perpendicular to 2. Perpendicular slopes are opposite, so I can get negative and reciprocal. Now I have one. So that means I can write it down, and then you're to the right 2.
Am I tripping? Am I dumb?
It's 1.5.
Because it's right here. Now going to the right too. Lower now, draw a line.
It's like.
You're also going to find there.
You said, am I dumb or am I slow?
Use that line there.
I want them.
Why is you doing it?
No.
I need to tell them. Who wants to go to sleep? Oh, I got home.
Yes, ma'am.
So yours is probably to the right.
Didn't we say the perpendicular slope was -1/2? The negative is only on the 1. So that means it's going down 1. But the 2, the run, is positive. Is to the left positive or is to the right positive?
To the right is positive. I told you go to the
Or you can go up 1 and to the left 2.
I sent that. Okay.
That's what I be doing. I don't be doing that. Using my ruler to find the thing.
The line or something? It's right there.
I don't do it. That's why I made up.
Yep. We good now? Guys, once you finish number 2, actually no, once you finish number 1, move to the second number 3. Try the -2/5 x minus 1 that passes through to -8. The second number 3. Apparently, as Coda pointed out, Mr. Kenny, you made a typo. Thanks, Coda.
I've done noticed that.
Yeah, he does. I don't think you did that because you weren't on somebody else.
And then what slope are you using?
I got multiple pins.
How are you doing? You got the -6, you now need to know what the slope is to figure out the next one. You want something perpendicular to this line. So, what do we know about perpendicular lines?
So yours is, hold on, let me put my name
They do intersect each other at a 90-degree angle, but you also need to remember that perpendicular slopes are opposite reciprocal. So what's the slope of this line?
Mine is 7. He did it, so he must have done it.
Looking at this equation, what is the slope?
Mine's is like 6.5.
So my equation is.
Mine's is like 6.5.
Well, remember, it's y, so this equation y is -3x plus 4. The equation of line is y is x plus 8. What symbol do we use for slope?
What is that?
So in
Oh, another
the
thing.
slope is just -4.
There's no plan, no forward.
Now I need the perpendicular slope. So I need the opposite. The opposite of negative is x. And then this 3 on this side would be 3 divided by 1. So the circle would be so
I'll take that.
-1.
Oh, I don't know.
And then a rise of 1. Run of the
Oh, you know that main walk, you know that big main stairs, the big main stairs. You go in front of those, you walk past and you see there. Like where the bench is.
You got this.
Oh, yes, like, okay, so it's like coming out of the back or out of the gym, like over there. Yeah, but like it's like coming out of the, you walk in the main stairs,
Well, no, you
the main
use that point and use that slope.
You know what Mr. House on?
Well, you go down.
Who are these
to the
people?
side, and then
So,
No, but I'm not gonna go like all the way down.
because it's a positive one and a positive.
Oh, yeah, I feel like I'm
Or
gonna go
down
down this way.
one, yeah, to
Turn
the
out,
left.
turn out how we need to go. We keep on going on that whole.
You're going through, you have to go through that point and
Follow
use
me
that
to
slope.
car.
Oh, that's what that mean I gotta go all the way back up the stairs. Then I gotta
So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I
and
don't
then
know how to get
what's the line or something?
These are for your own.
First of all, you don't need to go on that place, so.
Okay, so
I'm on my work. I thought you did it for lunch.
Yes, ma'am.
No, there's no.
What's your question? Which one are you looking at? That one? You talking about the y-intercept?
It's already there. It was there all along.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh,
6.5? Oh, so it's right in the next one.
Yes.
You couldn't change it.
I didn't like it. So I guess I don't like it.
Yo, 6, oh, it ain't no 6 no more, so. It's your birthday. I'm asking, why do you
Oh, would it be possible?
Yes, sir.
So, if it's perpendicular and if it's already would switch or just stay?
Say
I
again.
was just like,
If it's perpendicular and if it's a negative, they change to a positive.
This is why I say it's the opposite.
fornicate.
If it's opposite,
Say that
then the
one more
sign
time.
changes,
Oh,
right?
Saying that word.
That's what
That
opposite is.
bad,
Yes, sir.
bad.
Don't use it right now, we'll work on your math. Alright, if I can grab everyone's attention to bring you back up here, okay? We're gonna need, listen, y'all need to practice this some more tonight for sure. I have already put the answers for numbers, the 2 3s up here. The answer for number 4 will be -4/3 x. Okay. There are the equations that you should have for those problems. Continue to work with them at home to practice. At the end of the day, I'll go ahead and tell you, none of the problems you have for me will have that big a y-intercept. What do you need to do as soon as you look at these equations? If it says perpendicular, those slopes need to be opposite and reciprocal. You write that down and that's already evidence of understanding, right? When I look at one like the second 3 here, it's really easy because if my slope is -2/5, what's the perpendicular slope? What's the opposite?
-5/2.
5/2.
I was saying, did you do the opposite yet? Remember, opposite means it changes the sign. So it's already negative, so it needs to become the +5/2. Okay? So Joe, we don't get frustrated about it. We learn from our mistakes and we get it right next time.
I'm just confused how I still got number 3 wrong.
Okay? So, perpendicular slope. Once I have the perpendicular slope, what am I going to do? I'm going to graph it. Don't make it more complicated than that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 -8 is there. And I'm just going to use my slope. It's going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To the right 2. Should be there. And then I can draw a line to get to my y-intercept. We all good with that? Okay? So again, I have the final answers up there. The whole point of that is you can do the work at home and check your answer. Does that make sense? Okay, I want to spend some time on classifying figures because I know we need it. There's going to be 2 questions that are very similar to this. Part C and Part D.
Incarnation. Yeah.
Okay. confused why I got -8 instead of -13.
Because Joey, all you did was look at the fact that it's 2 -8, and you just took the -8. You didn't actually graph it to use your slope and find where it intersects the
I
y-axis.
did graph it. I tried graphing.
Alright, dude, I'll come and look at it in a second. Hold on.
When it interacted with the y-axis.
I'll look at it in a second. Shh. Hold on, right here. Girls in the back. Eyes up here. If you're trying to write the equation of a vertical line, anyone know what they should do first? I plot that point. -2, 1. And then what's the line gonna look like?
Straight line.
Straight up and down.
Straight up and down. Please note when it's a vertical line, you're not going to use y equals mx plus b. Identify a couple of points on here. So I just chose some random ones. Does anybody see a pattern for all the points on this line? Wait,
They're always negative.
all the x values are -2. So what would the equation be?
X is -2.
Right. That's it for writing that equation. More than likely, x would equal 9, but how can we check that? Graphing it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Legitimately, y'all, graphing it will make this easy every time. Every point here is going to have an x value of negative, or of 9. So for number 2, x is equal to 9. Use that information to complete 1 and 2 on D. Do note though that D is a horizontal line. Let's get to work writing those equations. Yes, Nathan. So x equals -2, not +2. But like, have you actually written out these points? -2, -2, -1, -2, 4. What do all of those points have in common? X is equal to a -2.
And we just do the same thing. 2, 3.
I'm just saying, literally draw it out and look to see what those points have in common when it's vertical and horizontal. What are you doing, Nine? Huh? So my point is, I will say this, if you try to memorize it, you will forget it. But what did I do to know that x is equal to -2? I graphed, right? Look. So like, if I look here, this is what I'm asking you to work on right now. Graphing this point, 4. Coda. What math you talking about over there?
No math.
Get to work. Get to work. No, 4 seconds. And what kind of line am I drawing? So identify a few points on this horizontal line. So like this point would be 0, 7. This point would be 5, 7. 4, 7. This would be -2, 7. What do all of those points have in common? Which part of 7? The x or the y? So the equation is 1 through 7. Literally, graphing it will give you the answer every time. Does that make sense? Yes, sir. How do you get those lines? Where are those coming from? Are you trying to do number 3? Dude, it says -5, -10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. -5, -10. It's a vertical line. And you identify points on that vertical line.
Like, that's the point negative 5 is here. That's the point negative 5, negative 4. That's the point negative 5, negative 9. Man, what do they all have in common? Not just that. X value is negative 5. But that's why D is horizontal lines. So does every y value on that line have a 7?
Yes.
Okay. So y always equals 7.
I think I know what it is. I think I know the trick of what's going on. Trick? Yeah, I think I know the Y is the vertical line. The X is the yes, but if it's a vertical, it's a horizontal, then what? I mean, you could just put it like that. She said that, didn't you? Yes, I did. Oh, at random points. Yes, I did.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter, the whole point is that no matter what point you pick here, what is the x value always going to be? -2. So x is always equal to -2. Once you draw your line, it doesn't matter which points you pick, the x value is always 9, so you pick any points. You're a little off. Talking about my students like that.
Why you say it like?
This is that whole. So that's when you already took next one.
I'm proud of you. The worst deal. I said
Addison,
is Cameron okay? I got a question.
Peyton, Trent. Yeah, Aiden.
Hold up.
Janaya. Maybe. Emily. Taylor. Devin. Lillian. Ethan. Thomas. What? Joey, I never did get your bags yet from this wife, so just take notes on that one, okay? Cardi, you didn't take this one either, did you?
Good and well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. First off, yesterday we spent a lot more time on the distance formula and stuff like that, so hopefully we'll be a little bit better on this. We're going to go over a couple of things. Again, Thomas, I do want to remind you, even when you weren't here, if I always use your test to reevaluate those skills, so you could literally make a 0 on that understanding check, and if you make anything higher, the test replaces it. So it's to your benefit to show me what you do know on an understanding check. So, quick couple of notes as a reminder before we look at this understanding check and get some more practice. This lesson 4, I will go ahead and tell you, is with distance and slope, is a decent chunk of what your test is looking at. So we need to practice this for the last half hour that we have.
He said half hour.
Listen when I talk. So, listen. Similar to when we were writing an equation, listen very clearly on this. Similar to when we were writing an equation, if you're given points like this and you're asked to classify a quadrilateral, what's the first step you should take?
Explain the quadrilateral.
Okay, maybe explain what a quadrilateral is, but y'all,
Plot the point.
plot the points, right? Like if you're going to write the equation of a line, graph that line or graph the points you have to figure out what the equation is. Similarly, I need to graph this quadrilateral. Now I need to emphasize this, and you need to write this down if you did not already know this. When you look at this quadrilateral, you should probably have an idea of what you're looking at, right? At least a little bit. Somebody? Anybody? This is out of the book. Don't worry about it. My point is just this. When you look at Jaden, eyes up here. Lillian, Coda, eyes up here. It's hard to learn what I'm teaching if you're not looking up here. When you look at a quadrilateral, you should have some idea of what type it might be. When I look at this, does it look like a trapezoid?
No.
No. So am I going to look for any of the characteristics of a trapezoid here?
No.
No. What does it look like it might be? Looks like it might be a rhombus. What else might it be? Maybe a square, maybe a kite. Okay? I'll go ahead and tell you, I'll be nice to y'all, I'm not putting a kite on there. Okay? But it could be a rhombus, could be a parallelogram. So here's the thing, when you think about, hey, I think it might be blank, you need to think about the characteristics. If you're saying, I think this is a rhombus, what has to be true about a rhombus? Yeah, we need to get more specific because there's very clearly four sides. True. What are the key characteristics of a rhombus?
It has one group parallel.
That's a trapezoid. All four sides are congruent. And the opposite sides are parallel.
I thought that was only a parallelogram.
Rhombus is a type of parallelogram. Remember, rhombus, rectangle, and square are all types of parallelograms. Yep. Opposite sides are parallel. And so I come to the final detail that I need you to pay attention to. If you're going to make a claim, hey, that's a rhombus, you need to think about the features of a rhombus. You have to know what makes a rhombus a rhombus. You got to know what makes a parallelogram before your test tomorrow. We went over that. The picture of all the notes, it's on Schoology. What do we need to look at though? What feature do we need to look at to determine if opposite sides are parallel?
The slope.
We need to be all about slope here. What do I need to look at to determine if the sides are congruent?
Slope.
The distance or length. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you want to know if things are congruent, if side lengths are congruent, you need to look at distance. If you want to know if those opposite sides are parallel, you need to look at slope. You've got to know that. And most of us did not know that, and yet we're still not writing this down. If you want opposite sides to be parallel, you need those slopes specifically to be the same. If you want those sides to be congruent, you need their distances or lengths to be the okay. You need to know that detail. That is critical. That will show up multiple times on your test. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you this. I'll ask in a second, anyone who wants my personal solutions for this understanding check printed out, because I'm not going to spend forever on this, because y'all need to actually put some practice in, okay? But I will give you my solutions for this understanding check if you wanted to have it home to study from. But right now, notice, and there are multiple questions that are set up this exact way. What is the first thing that's being asked for on number 1 on this understanding check?
Side of the quadrilateral.
Yeah. What is something that you could write down immediately to show me evidence of understanding?
And you need congruent.
Well, remember, that's to prove the type of parallelogram or type of quadrilateral. But if you're looking for